Hola, Curious Minds crew. Hope you guys have been doing well. Um, I have been collecting little by little uh, resources, articles, reports, announcements, different things that relate to the January wildfires here in Los Angeles. And so I put together my Notebook LM. Again, don't sleep on AI, folks. If you're not using Google's Notebook LM, it's an amazing tool. Um, and so in what you see on the screen here, I've got 79 sources that I've been adding since, January. And most recently, I added the announcement from the Department of Insurance regarding the FAIR plan and the action that they're taking regarding the smoke claim disputes that have been a major issue with FAIR plan. Um, so anyway, what I wanted to do was I wanted to just do a look at a mind map kind of the events. And so there are what's kind of cool about this tool is in the mind map piece, it takes all your resources and then it kind of categorizes them and then lets you kind of drill in just to give you a visual summary. So one of the things we're going to just look at real quickly here is if we just look at some of the FAIR plan stuff that's going on, um, we can see that the FAIR plan continues to grow just dramatically. And that's one of the big component challenges that we have for the admitted carriers in California is with respect to their desire to take on more risk. Because the FAIR plan continues to grow and their assessment risk continues, to grow. And as a reminder, there was a $1 billion assessment approved back in February. First assessment in 30 years. I've been tracking this, carriers have been filing for their recoupments. They have 6 months from the date that they are requested to, or that they're assessed, so to request recoupment. And what I've seen in most of the filings is that most of the carriers are taking a 2-year, 24-month recoupment period. And, from everything I've seen, it looks like an average policyholder probably is somewhere in the range of like $15 to $80 a year, depending upon the company that they're with and how big the assessment was. So, for example, State Farm had the largest assessment that I've seen. And so their policyholders will probably, on average, have a little bit bigger annual assessment versus, say, like a smaller company um, that maybe had a $10 million assessment versus a $400 million assessment or something, $300 million assessment. And so that all varies. But so that assessment was something that actually was a fear that the insurance companies had going all the way back to like 2017, 2018, when we had really horrendous back-to-back wildfire seasons in California. And the industry lost something like 20 years of underwriting profit in those 2 years combined due to wildfire losses, if my memory serves. And so the assessment piece definitely is something that the carriers on the admitted side are concerned about. Um, so let's see here. So you could see there's all these topics, right? So there's FAIR plan. Let's look real quickly at some of the regulatory actions because there's been a lot going on. And if we look here, we've got Commissioner Laura's Sustainable Insurance Strategy, which has a lot of good things in there from what I've been reading and just little conversations here and there. There's a lot. The cake still has to be baked, so to speak. But whether it be the reinsurance piece, whether it be allowing catastrophe modeling, basically, in order for the carriers, as far as I understand it, in California, to be able, the admitted carriers, to be able to utilize components of this sustainable insurance strategy, like catastrophe modeling, like the reinsurance cost and rates, they have to be committed to helping depopulate the FAIR Plan in distressed zip codes and committing to growing their market share within some designated distressed zip codes, and kind of attesting each year that they are growing relative to their total statewide market share. So there's some formulas in there for that. But anyway, like that's a that's something that's got to play out. It's going to take some years. I feel like we've got at least a few solid years ahead of us, if everything goes right with rates and regulations and everything to hopefully slowly start to get our California property market back on the right footing. And I know that everybody's trying to work diligently to do that. It's been a pretty rough run here the last few years for consumers and agents and carriers and everybody involved. So anyway, so there's a lot of stuff here. Proposed legislation for 2025. You can see there's a bunch of stuff that came out after the wildfires. So a lot of legislation is being considered. So that's interesting. I know Commissioner Laura, if I remember, he recently launched this smoke claims remediation task force. I don't know if that's partially tied into the analysis they're looking at with the complaints from consumers with the FAIR Plan and how it relates to some changes that they made in their policy back to smoke claims back in 2017, I believe. So, you can see the bottom line here is there's a lot going on with the wildfires, and I'm going to continue to track it and stuff, but it's just something where it's going to take some years to get through. And the bottom line is property market remains tight. California FAIR Plan continues to grow. We've got a bunch of regulatory changes. We've got a bunch of legislative changes proposed. We've got still some rate deficiency. There's just a whole host of issues that we're still dealing with in California and just working through. And the LA fires were devastating to thousands and thousands and thousands of families and people. And everybody's just got to rebuild their lives. And the insurance companies are doing, I think, on the whole, the best they can to try to get people back on their feet, working through their claims. But it's brutal, right? And as agents, we are here trying to serve the needs of our clients to the best of our abilities. And so everybody's in it together, and we're just slogging through, trying to get to the other side. So anyway, that was just a little quick update on the LA wildfires and what's cooking in California. Maybe that's a bad pun. Anyway, didn't mean it to be a pun. But what's the challenges that we're dealing with in California? All right. Talk to you soon. Have a good one. Peace.